Welcome to Module 1, Lesson 7, Groups, Campaigns, and Software. The learning objectives for this lesson will be to understand and define attack groups, campaigns, and software, identify what information is provided by each of these objects, and finally, appreciate how attack groups, campaigns, and software fit into the overall attack model. Getting back to our technique roadmap, we've already explored the defensive side of attack in the form of mitigations and detections. And in this lesson, we'll link to attack groups, campaigns, and software via technique procedure examples. Getting back to the attack TTP model, we can recall that attack tactics define the why of an adversary behavior, whereas techniques and sub-techniques define how that adversary goal is being achieved, which leaves us at attack procedures, or specific implementation of how an adversary uses techniques or sub-techniques. As you can see below, attack procedures are populated on technique pages, as well as the pages of groups, campaigns, and software, which we'll get to in a minute. Attack procedures not only connect techniques to these groups, campaigns, and software, but we also provide a description of how that technique was specifically used. Attack tracks adversaries in the forms of groups, campaigns, and software. We'll start with groups, which are defined as related intrusion activity tracked by a common name. Each attack group is assigned a unique identifier, a description, as well as mappings to its various techniques and sub-techniques based on publicly available cyber threat intelligence. Attack groups are also mapped to various names used by industry, as well as campaigns and potentially software. Secondly, we get to attack campaigns, which are defined as any grouping of intrusion activity conducted over a specific period of time with common targets and objectives. Attack campaigns are also assigned a unique identifier, as well as a description. As you can see on the right, they also have unique metadata in the form of first seen and last seen timestamps. Attack campaigns are mapped to techniques as well and have their own procedures, and may also be mapped to software as well as threat actors in the form of groups. And finally, we've reached attack software, which are tools or malware used by adversaries during intrusions. Attack software entries have a unique identifier as a description as well as the various names used by industry. Attack software are mapped to techniques and sub-techniques via procedures and may also be mapped to campaigns and groups. Let's walk through a tangible example and explore how attack groups, campaigns, and software connect to each other as well as back to techniques. Looking at this example, group 0134, also known as Transparent Tribe, we can see that this group has been active since 2013 and goes by various different names. While looking at the same attack group page, we can also see the various techniques and sub-techniques mapped to this group via procedures. And from this same attack group page, we can also see where G0134 has been associated with a campaign as well as multiple software entries, each of which will have their own pages with descriptions as well as mappings to techniques and procedures. And with that, we reach the end of Lesson 7. Please pause your video for a moment to consider the knowledge check. And in this case, the correct response was true. There are indeed potentially many procedures for a given technique. And as a quick summary of Lesson 7, techniques and sub-techniques are mapped to groups, campaigns, and software via procedure examples, which describe the specific ways that a technique has been performed. Attack groups represent the named clusters of intrusion activity, whereas campaigns are groupings of activity, which may or may not relate to these named clusters. And finally, attack software represent the tools or malware used in by these groups or in these campaigns. And finally, attack provides descriptions for these groups, campaigns, and software, as well as what techniques and procedures have been observed publicly from each.